Hello, everybody. This story is called The Girl No One Wanted. There were once two sisters. Here they are, Rachel and Leah. The youngest sister was very beautiful, and her name was Rachel. But the older sister wasn't beautiful at all. Some even thought she was quite ugly. Her name was Leah. Rachel was the kind of girl who would always get invited to the parties and chosen for the team. Everyone loved her. And poor Leah, no one hardly ever noticed her. One day their cousin Jacob came to stay. He was one of Isaac's sons, and he was on the run. Jacob had stolen and cheated and made some enemies, including his own brother, and now he was in hiding. The funny thing is, Jacob, of all people, was the one God gave the special promises to, the same promises he had given his grandfather Abraham. I will rescue the world through your family. But then God chooses people we least expect, as we'll see. Jacob stayed a long time working for his uncle Laban. One day, Laban said, Jacob, I've decided to pay you for your work. What do you want? A sudden thought struck him. How about one of my daughters? And Jacob thought Rachel was really beautiful, and he wanted to marry her, I think. Well, let's see. Maybe he did. Oh, yeah. Jacob looked at Rachel, and he looked at Leah. Who would he choose? Of course, he chose Rachel. I'll work 7 years for free, Jacob said, if I can marry Rachel. So Jacob worked 7 years, and at last his wedding day arrived. But that night, Laban played a nasty trick on Jacob. Instead of sending Rachel to marry, he sent Leah. Now, in those days, they didn't have any electricity, so it was dark in their tents, and besides, women wore veils, and they couldn't see their faces properly. So Jacob suspected nothing. So see, Jacob sees Leah and Rachel with their veils on, and go, oh, what's going to happen? The next morning, Jacob woke up and screamed. His new wife lying beside him wasn't Rachel. It was Leah. Jacob jumped out of bed. Laban, he cried, you scoundrel. But Laban said, work for me another 7 years, and then you can marry Rachel. See, in those days, they married more than one woman. He's going, oh, I got the wrong wife. But he stayed married to Leah anyway. So Jacob worked for Laban for another 7 years, and at last Rachel became his wife. Now Jacob had two wives. But of his two wives, Jacob loved Rachel best. No one loves me, Leah said. I'm too ugly. God didn't think she was ugly. And when he saw that Leah was not loved and that no one wanted her, God chose her to love her specially, to give her a very important job. One day, God was going to rescue the whole world through Leah's family. Now, when Leah knew that God loved her in her heart, suddenly it didn't matter anymore whether her husband loved her best or if she was the prettiest. Someone had chosen her. Someone did love her with a never stopping, never giving up, unbreaking, always and forever love. So when Leah had a baby boy, she named him Judah, which means, this time I will praise the Lord. And that's just what she did. And you'll never guess what job God gave Leah. You see, when God looked at Leah, he saw a princess. And sure enough, that's exactly what she became. One of Leah's children's children would be a prince, the Prince of Heaven, God's son. This princess would love God's people. They wouldn't need to be beautiful for him to love them. He would love them with all his heart, and they would be beautiful because he loved them like Leah. And sure enough, Leah's beautiful. And she is the great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandma of Jesus. The end.